Rhetoric falls into three divisions, determined by the three classes of listeners to speeches. For the three elements in speech making, speaker, subject, and person addressed. It is the last one, the hearer, that determines the speech's end and object. The hearer must be either a judge with a decision to make about things past or future, or an observer. A member of the assembly decides about future events, and a juryman about past events, while those who merely decide on the orator's skill and observers. From this it follows that there are three divisions of oratory: political, forensic, and the third being the ceremonial oratory of display. Political speaking urges us either to do or not to do something. One of these two courses is always taken by private counselors, as well as by men who address political assemblies. Forensic speaking either attacks or defends somebody. One or the other of these two things must always be done by the parties in a case. The ceremonial oratory of a display either praises or censors somebody. These three kinds of rhetoric refer to three different kinds of time. The political orator is concerned with the future. It is about things to be done hereafter, and he advises for or against. The party in a case at law is concerned with the past. One man accuses the other, and the other defends himself, with reference to things already done. The ceremonial orator, properly speaking, concerned with the present, since all men praise or blame in a view of state of things existing at the time, though they often find it useful also to recall the past to make guesses at the future. Rhetoric has three distinct ends in view, one for each of its three kinds. The political orator aims at establishing the expediency or the harmfulness of a proposed course of action. If he urges its acceptance, he does so on the ground that it will do good. If he urges its rejection, he does so on the ground that it will do harm. All other points, such as whether the proposal is or just or unjust, honorable or dishonorable, he brings in as subsidiary and relative to his main consideration. Parties in a law case aim at the establishing the justice or injustice of some action, and they too bring in all other points as subsidiary and relative to this. Those who praise or attack a man aim at proving him worthy of honor or the reverse. They too treat all other considerations with reference to this one. That the three kinds of rhetoric do aim respectfully at three ends we have mentioned is shown by the fact that speakers will sometimes not try to establish anything else. Thus, legitimate will sometimes not deny that a thing has happened or that he has done harm, but he is guilty of injustice he will never admit. Otherwise, there would be no need for a trial. So too, political orators often make any concession short of admitting that they are recommending their hearers to take an expedient course or not to take an expedient one. The questions whether it is not unjust for a city to enslave its innocent neighbors often does not trouble them at all. In like manner, to those who praise or censure a man do not consider whether his acts have been expedient or not, but they do make it grounds of actual praise that he has neglected his own interest to do what he is honorable. Thus they praise Achilles because he companioned his fall friend Patroclus, though he knew that this meant death, and that otherwise he need not die. Yet while to die, this was a nobler thing for him to do. The expedient thing was to live on. It is evident from what has been said that it is these three subjects, more than any others, about which the orator must be able to name propositions to at his command. Now, the propositions of rhetoric are complete proofs, probabilities, and signa. Every other kind of syllogism is composed of propositions, and the enthymeme is a particular kind of syllogism composed of the aforesaid propositions. Since only possible actions and not impossible ones can ever be done in the past or the present, and since things have such not occurred and will not occur, also cannot have been done for what's going to be done, it is necessarily for the political, the forensic, and for the ceremonial speaker alike to be able to have their command propositions and the possible of impossible, and whether a thing has been said or not occurred, will or will not occur. Further, all men in giving praise or blame, in urging us to accept our rejection proposal for action, in accusing others or defending themselves, attempt not only to prove the points mentioned, but also to show the good or the harm, the honor or the disgrace, the justice or injustice, is great or small, either absolutely or relatively, and therefore it is in the plain that we must also have our command propositions about greatness or smallness and the greater of lesser propositions, both universal and particular. Thus we must be able to say in which is the greater or lesser good, the greater or lesser act of justice or injustice, and so on. Such then there are subjects regarding which we are inevitably bound to matter the propositions relevant to them. We must now discuss each particular class of these subjects in turn, namely those who dealt with in political and ceremonial, and lastly legal oratory.